JKB back with another episode. Today on the show, I'm reviewing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Thank you to Nintendo for the review copy. Let's get into it. Going into the release of Let's Go, there was a lot of hardcore Pokemon fans feeling that the game looked a little too simple. There's been a few different changes, and some of the fans out there do not agree with them. The first change comes in the form of how you build your teams and level up your Pokemon, and you no longer have to run into random battle encounters. Now the Pokemon are simply walking around the world, and you'll be able to avoid them if you choose so. The game borrows a few pages of Pokemon Go's handbook. To catch the Pokemon, you have to toss a Pokeball into a circle that slowly detracts on the Pokemon. There's a few different ways you can toss the ball, and it's all going to come down to which controller you're using. Nintendo sent over a Pokeball for me to try out with the game. This accessory is modeled after the standard Pokemon Pokeball. There's three ways to interact with the ball. There's a button on top of the Pokeball itself, there's the analog stick, and you can also shake the ball to interact with it. I think the coolest part of this accessory is the motion you make of actually tossing a Pokeball at a Pokemon. You'll have to time it almost perfectly to land the ball within the circle target on screen that is around the Pokemon. There's also vibration in the ball with an LED light that matches up with what's happening in the game. Plus, there's even a little speaker in the ball that lets the Pokemon inside of the ball talk to you. I do have one small problem with the Pokeball accessory, and that's how you have to make sure you're holding it correctly. And to do that, you have to face the top button of the ball towards the television. If the ball moves around in your hand before the toss, the Pokeball on screen will definitely miss its target, and that can be frustrating at times. And though this is not a major issue with the game, just with this controller. There's one more feature that I want to talk about, and that's being able to take the ball out into the real world. And I'm 37 and I kind of find that this is kind of cool, but I can't imagine being a kid again and getting into this game. You can put the Pokeball into a mode where you literally take the ball for a walk. And now that seems strange, but there's a few different things I should tell you about that the game doesn't really do a good job of doing. So let me show you a demo of what you can do when you take the Pokeball for a walk. So this is when you're going out with your Pokemon on a bus or to school or whatnot. You've got the Pokemon loaded into the ball. Simply push down the stick, hold it for a couple seconds. You'll see it light up like that, and she comes alive. And you can hear her with the speaker that's built in, and you interact with her as you go throughout the day. You'll hear her randomly call out. You can interact with her, like I said, by pushing this down. You'll see it light up. This means that she's attentive and waiting for you to interact with her. So if you shake it, oh, it shut off. If you shake it, you'll hear her interacting with you. But what she really likes, okay, when you push this, okay, the sounds. And then if you get it really excited, let's see if I can do it. It might happen on here on camera. I doubt it. So the point of this is you take it on the go, you play with her on the go, and you also get your steps counted as you walk around throughout the day. I did realize that she sounds tired, and I think that's an indication that the battery is actually low on the Pokeball. So that means when you get home, charge it. You can also mute her, which is very important. There's a vibration function in here that plays with the audio, but you can turn off the audio. So when you're on the bus, all of a sudden, she's not screaming that out of your pocket and everyone's looking at you, unless you want people to stare at you. But that's the Pokeball. Now when you get home, you simply load the Pokemon back into the Switch, and it'll give you a whole assortment of cool and interesting items. Sometimes there's level ups for her moves in the game, and it'll give you, you know, experience points for your Pokemon. So that's the Pokeball. It's interesting, and playing with it, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Once you connect the ball back to the system, you can see all the different stats and how much fun the Pokemon had on its walk. The ball is also really small, so it kind of does fit in all of your pockets. And I mean, taking it for a walk does sound ridiculous, but this is kind of aimed towards children, let's be honest. And as an adult, yeah, you kind of look ridiculous walking around with a ball, shaking it in your pocket. But I mean, it's really cool getting home and seeing all those experience points transfer over into the game because you physically took it for a walk. Honestly, I know that this sounds incredibly childish, but I really don't care. I'm 37 and I've got a Pokeball in my pocket at IKEA. Who gives a shit? You can level up this Pokemon by just taking it for a walk. So if it's a new team member that is just joined your team, take it down to IKEA, get some of the fish, sit down, have a hot dog, and leave there knowing that your brand new IKEA chair kind of came with its bonus reward, and that was the ability to level your Pokemon up because of this Pokeball. I love the idea. If I was a kid and I was going back to high school or even grade school, I'd be showing all the other kids my balls. Pokeball, excuse me. I'd shake that ball and you'd hear the Pokemon scream. I mean, this is good, old, classic fun with an accessory that we haven't seen for quite some time. It kind of reminds me of the Dreamcast days. For some reason, I wrote down it's important to tell you that you can get this ball outside of the bundle. You don't need to go out there and buy this bundle. I myself got the Eevee bundle with the ball the morning of a release, but there was also another cool thing inside of the ball that a lot of people probably don't know, and that is you get a special Pokemon in this ball, and that's Mew. So let's just get to the point here. Some people are kind of upset with this because Nintendo has put a paywall in front of this Pokemon. So if you are an overachiever and want to collect all the Pokemon in this game, you have to buy this ball. From my understanding, Mew is exclusive to the ball, and some people are going to lose it. I mean, do I feel like Nintendo put it behind a paywall? Yes, I mean, it's obvious. Do I have a problem with it? I don't, but I can understand why hardcore fans do. Except hardcore fans would have bought the Pokeball anyways, so it's kind of a I don't care subject. Battles in the game start out to be quite simple. The game doesn't put a lot in the way of getting into a battle. It's very easy and it's very understandable. I mean, a kid can pick this up and understand how to battle these Pokemon. The story is very simple, and the world and characters are simple as well. It's just a very simple game from its design to its controls. The RPG elements aren't overly convoluted. Certain Pokemon are stronger against different element types with different powers. You'll have to figure that out as you play. So for instance, a rock Pokemon is strongest against a bug type. And once you start to see the weaknesses of your team, you'll start to change them out and make sure you have the strongest Pokemon in your team for what battle you're going up against. The world is full of tons of little items that you can pick up and win during battles, such as healing potions and berries that can be used to help catch different Pokemon, and the list goes on and so forth. Now, I should point out that there are few little things in the game that are going to make the hardcore fans happy, from it being a random character making a special appearance to seeing all the original Pokemon rendered in this beautiful way we've never really seen. I think maybe the best to date. And I mean, that's kind of saying a lot if you're a huge Pokemon fan. There's something special going on here, but I have to reiterate that the game is super simple. It's not like it's going to push the limits of your mind, because it does ramp up in difficulty as you get deeper into the game, but it never hits levels of, say, a Final Fantasy game or a Dragon Quest game. You're just not going to get that here, but the nostalgia factor of this game will weigh heavy on any hardcore fans. Personally, I thought I'd get sick of catching all these Pokemon one after another, you know, but Nintendo thought of something that would be kind of cool, and it's the way they designed this feature. There's an actual combo system that's built into it. You keep catching the same Pokemon over and over, and that'll go towards a combo. The more you catch, the better the Pokemon will get. Lastly, I'm going to say that the Pokeball does also interact with Pokemon Go on your cell phones. It'll notify you simply when there's a Pokemon nearby, and you can basically do everything you can do that you could do with that other Pokemon accessory for Pokemon Go. So I'm not saying go out there and get the Pokeball if you're into just Pokemon Go, but it is kind of cooler than that last accessory Pokemon Go had. Overall, I had fun with the game, don't get me wrong, but I crave something just more out of my RPG experiences, especially if I'm going to put a lot of time into them. Now, the customization is here. You can choose your team, you can level them up by collecting more Pokemon, and there's battling, and there's obviously items you can use on the Pokemon to lower defense, and all sorts of special moves you could switch in and out that you collect by taking the ball for walks or finding in game after battles. There's all that stuff in the game, but at the end of the day, it's still quite kind of a simple experience. Overall, I'm gonna give Pokemon Let's Go a 7 out of 10. It's obviously better than I expected it to be. A lot of people thought that this was going to be disappointing, and in a way, I'm a little disappointed. I know the fan base out there is not really agreeing with all of the reviews that are going up, and it's hovering around an average of 8 out of 10, but I think that's a little generous. Now, the fan base out there feels like this is a solid 6 out of 10, and I'm going to give Nintendo a little bit kind of more credit for this because they've created something that introduces you to Pokemon again. And if you have a kid out there and you're into Pokemon, this is basically the perfect experience to give them. Do I recommend you go out there and buy the bundle with the Pokeball? Do you need the Pokeball? I think that's for hardcore fans. I think that's for the enthusiasts out there that love Pokemon. It's cool to have this on your shelf. It's cool to hold it in your hand. But let's be honest, the Joy-Con controller works much better and it's more precise. So you don't need to go out there to go and get, you know, balls. You just don't touch your balls. You don't need to. I mean, it's fun to touch your balls. Does it wear out after, touching this ball? Yeah, kind of, a little bit. You kind of get sick of touching the ball. You get my point. So, thank you for watching. If you like what I've done in this review, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next episode of JKB.